Well, hi, everybody. I'm Joseph Huberman, Vice President for Club Services, and I'd like to welcome you to the OUSA Monthly Forum. Matt Craig is going to explain how Google Workspace can work for your club. After each section, we will have time for questions, so if you want to speak, please raise your hand and keep your microphone off until you're called on. This program is being recorded, so if you don't want to be recorded, please turn off your camera and mic and leave the meeting. Matt, I'm turning it over to you.
All right, thank you. All right, hopefully my screen is visible there. And yeah, we're going to be talking about Google Workspace and how clubs can use it. Google Workspace is like sort of the main productivity tool for Orienteering USA. It's used for many things, email lists, for documents that we share and collaborate on and present to the public. And obviously this Google Meet is another one of those things. They did rebrand it recently, I think, in the past year or two. So you may be familiar with it as G Suite, but I think it's mostly a lot of the same tools. And this has actually been an idea that's been around for a little bit of a while, at least longer than I've been here, but probably COVID inertia got in the way of doing the actual implementation. But one thing we do need to note is because of our license, it's probably restricted to clubs that have gotten their own 501c3 nonprofit status. So, uh, you know, that's who this is available to be shared with. But hopefully, a lot of the resources and the use we get out of Google Workspace will work for clubs too. And then by sharing it with us, it takes some of that administrative burden off of smaller clubs who don't necessarily know how to manage an entire Google Workspace. A few of the biggest benefits you can get from this, which we feel is like sort of a lot of the tools you need to manage your club, to do the administrative stuff, everything outside of actually hosting events. You can do in Google Workspace things like sharing documents with the Google Drive. You can put your maps up there and share them with your club. You can have bylaws or post results, pretty much anything that you want to share there. For email lists, I think probably everyone here got the notice through ClubNet. That's one of the things that Orienteering USA uses Google Groups for. Other things are, YDP lists or team lists, things like that. The other thing you can do with Google Workspace is to have an enhanced web presence. I will show a little bit later on how to use Google Sites to make something that is, while fairly simple, at least better than just a Facebook page or something like that. Makes the club seem a little bit more official. And then there's plenty of the other features that are in the Google suite of tools like calendars, Meet, Google Maps, those kinds of things. So, not all clubs would use every single thing, but if they did, we think that was great because we like the tools, and we find them pretty useful. So a little bit of administrative about the setup of the Google Workspace. It is a little bit of extra work on the national admins to handle this. So we would offer up to 5 club admins. They're users, but I'm calling them admins sort of to make it clear they're separate from other users who might join your drive or things like that. But just, I think most clubs probably could manage with 1 or 2 people. Having an admin at Orienteering USA account, and because you can actually share the load of managing Google Drive or Google Groups out amongst other people, and then you can actually share that with people who don't have an OrienteeringUSA.org user, as long as they have Gmail. You can assign them some permissions to edit stuff and help with stuff. And a few other things that to note about it is you also don't have to worry about, if somebody leaves your club and they take off and you don't have the password anymore, how do you get access to your account? If the owner's gone, because the national admins will be able to recover those users for you. Or even if just, forgot your password or something and need help with that too. And then the other stipulation for those people who are going to be club admins is that they have to be OUSA members. and again, the 501c3 status for the clubs. Then to one of the other features of this is you actually get a subdomain with this, and without going too technical, it's just that part uh, in front of orienteeringusa.org. The subdomain is some of the things like event reg or rankings that you've probably used before. Um, and I'm sure technical people might not be satisfied with my explanation, but that's almost all you need to know. Um, and some examples of clubs actually using this: Houston Orienteering Club, they use it as their club's main domain, so they actually don't have to pay any registration fees for a domain. And I imagine hoc.org is probably almost too common for them to have gotten that one, which is another reason for them to use it. And then Northeast Ohio, uh, as they were getting ready for the Pan Am Games, they already have a website set up, and they just wanted us to point it at that. I don't know that they fully got implemented because I think it's sort of still pointing um, at somebody's personal site, but that's a possibility to, if you already have a website and would just like the additional domain, because that can associate you with a national organization, and it's a benefit to the national organization because it can bring some, it can bring our website before somebody's eyes who would normally only go to a club website and not realize that there is a national organization. I guess I should stop for questions if anybody wants a better explanation of a subdomain or has any other questions about it. Okay. So Google Drive, um, what it will be is sort of a Google Drive specific to your organization for your club. There's a way for us to separate out the users, which I'll show here in a minute, so that it kind of looks like your club owns your Google Workspace, even though you don't have to do a lot of the management for it. And um, uh, it's not limited to just your users within your club who have orienteeringusa.org admin users, because you can share the documents with outside users. As I mentioned before, you can actually have them be owners of documents and create their own documents in your folders and things like that. You can have public documents so that even people like you, a lot of times you might get an email or go to a website and it links to a Google Doc and you can view that. So as long as that doc is public, you can share that with people. One of the other things we really like for the documents that we're creating and working on for the board or for other committees is the collaboration capabilities. I imagine a lot of people by now have experience with that, but you can invite people to help you edit or invite them to make suggestions and read through it and give you help editing it and things like that. Spreadsheets where you're uh, editing at the same time and watching the changes other people are making. So I think you know, having that ability to do that on Google Drive instead of sending files around by email or trying to share a Dropbox folder or something like that it's a good enhancement for the administrative ability of clubs. And then I do need to mention that the quota. So the quota is assigned per user on Google Drive. And since we allow you to have up to 5 users, you could potentially have 500 gigabytes of storage on Google Drive. And I hope that sounds like enough to everybody, because actually for OUSA, I'm not sure how long we've been on Google Workspace, but up to this point, we only have 170 gigabytes total storage used. And that includes all of our emails, all the documents we've created, probably recordings of videos and things like that. So, 500 gigabytes should be way more than most people are going to need. So um, now I'd like to show what I was, excuse me. So what I did as a way of preparing this demonstration is for Backwoods Orienteering Club, I set up our own sub account within Orienteering USA and made a user for Joseph and for me. And what I'm going to show you now is like sort of how we theoretically people would use their Google Drive. So in my shared drive, the Orienteering USA admin has created for me a bok.ousa folder, and that's basically where I'm going to keep all of my files. But because I don't have admin users at Orienteering USA for all of my club members, and I still want them to be able to use it, I've set up a few things here, like this folder, which I have, and I've made it managed by not only our bok.orienteeringusa.org users, but I've also added some of our club members who don't have that, they just have regular Gmail accounts, and they are actually content managers, and they can, add and delete files. I think share them out with other people. Pretty much anything that one of our special users could do can be farmed out to somebody like that. And then another folder that I had made in here was a public docs folder, which I realized today we didn't actually put anything in that, but when you go into the settings, you can make a folder where anyone with the link can see the content of that folder. So basically anybody on the web, and you could also have other people be managing it too. And I think I did that with our results. Let me see. Maybe I did not share it, but we'll get to that later. So I guess any questions about Google Drive, how you would use it, or anything like that?
Matt, can you enlarge your screen there, make it full screen so it's a little bigger for us to see?
Sure. Whoops. Sorry, I hit the hide button and not the full screen button.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Did that keep sharing it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's when you switch to the Google Drive, the print is a lot smaller.
Is it? Okay.
But everyone who wants to see it a little bigger, you can, let me switch to the next slide. You can click the three dots at the bottom and select layout and change it to spotlight, and then select the three dots again and select full screen. And then your vision of the presentation will be a whole lot larger. And also turn off your comments. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I fear that when I flip to the next screen for the little demo thing, it'll still be smaller, whether I have it full screen or not. So, because I don't think that'll enlarge the text. Any questions about Google Drive or anything anyone wanted to see? The next tool that we find very useful is Google Groups. So that's their email list application, whatever you want to call it. And kind of the nicest thing I think about it is having that at orienteeringusa.org group name instead of, I've seen the ones that are at Google Groups, and it's kind of generic and, isn't branded for you or anything like that. So that's a really nice feature. And when the clubs get their own, because they're a sub organization under Orienteering USA, it will be branded by, with their club abbreviation. So ours is at bok.orienteeringusa.org, and I'll show that in a minute. And the other nice feature about this is that the groups can be completely managed by those users in that sub organization. You can create them, you can set all the permissions, you can decide who's going to manage it. You can have people outside of Orienteering USA managing it, like we did with some of those folders in Google Drive. So it's very flexible. And I guess when you say flexible, that also means powerful and lots of settings. So once you get in there, you would see there are lots of settings too, though. But the things that those allow you to do is you can create private lists. And some of the examples I thought of for private lists, if you want to have your board have their own list, or you want to have your event directors have a list because some of those discussions are not interesting or not, public doesn't need to hear them. You can do that. And then you can have a public list too, which is, the main mailing list for anyone who wants to know what's going on with your club or have discussion about events within your club and those kinds of things. The one warning I would give about the public lists, or I guess two warnings maybe, is to make sure that there's a setting in there where you can say people have to ask to join, because you don't want just anybody in the public joining. You'd like to make sure that it's not somebody who's going to spam or something like that. So you might have a person managing who's going to be able to join. And if you're not too busy, you could also consider moderating the posts that go in there. There is an option there to have somebody review anything before it actually gets posted to your list. So let me go reshare here, and it won't go out of. Oh, sorry. This is. I don't know why I can't. There we go. So I wanted to show you how I set up groups in our little sample organization here. And actually, the first thing I should mention is this: the admin users will actually see this directory group directory at bok.orienteeringusa.org. So
Matt,
Faye, I don't know if you can see this or not. Is this too small?
can you full screen it?
Yeah.
That's better.
Let me. I'll try to. Yeah, I'll do plus here. So I made the browser itself bigger. Is that easier to see?
Yes.
Yes, much better.
Okay. So only the admins will see that, and then event directors. I just took that idea and actually made a list out of it. And the thing I wanted to show there, it's a private list, so it's only people that you invite to come to it. And again, I picked 2 other people from our club who could potentially be managers of this list, so they'd be allowed to set the permissions. They'd be allowed to, accept people who requested to join and those kinds of things. So, and then the one other thing I wanted to show though was that the group settings, there's a lot of controls here. I think most of them are fairly easy to understand, but for those who actually want support, it's kind of so complicated that we would really recommend going to the Google support and finding their stuff, because usually they've documented most of the settings that you can see here. Or ClubNet might be another place to go and ask other people if they've done similar things. When you're trying to set it up, go see if anybody else has done that. So I guess any questions on Google Groups? Okay. The next little thing I wanted to show is the Google Sites. So this is their tool, their point and click tool for creating websites. And no coding is necessary. You just go in there and kind of click around and say, I'd like to add this widget or this image or this text or whatever. And again, it's because of the simplicity, it's probably best to replace something where you've only been using Facebook or something like that for your club. It's not going to beat WordPress, but I feel like you can build a site that has the necessary things for somebody who wants to find out about your club, find out what your schedule is, and come and see it and get that information. So I built a little sample site I'll show in a minute. But some of the things that it's doing are using Docs, so connecting to Google Drive. And, so you can manage some of those public files that you're sharing with people. It's actually directly using a calendar widget to post a schedule, so that if you shared a calendar with other users in your club, it's really easy to keep that schedule up to date, and people can put their events in there and it'll show up right on that website. And then it also has some Google Maps widgets that link directly, put a pin in a map and link that there to show people where they come when they're coming to an event at a certain venue. So I don't know why nope. Press escape to exit full screen and it exits my presentation. But So let me make this bigger and expand it a little. Is that readable at all? Hopefully you're seeing the almost a real BOK
Yeah,
website.
yeah,
Okay.
that's okay.
Yeah, so with their little point and click tool, uh, you know, I think it looks fairly generic, but it's hard to say if that's their tool or if that's just me. I'm not necessarily a web designer. I do more back end stuff than I do front end stuff. So um, don't expect me to pick out the right colors or the nicest fonts or anything like that. So hopefully the ugliness is due to me and not their thing. But it has the basic things that you would need on a site, because when somebody comes to your site, they want to know when are your next events. If they've been to an event, they want to know what were the results and they want to know how to get there. So it was fairly easy. It took me maybe 25 minutes in total to build the whole thing. So the main pages linked from the home page, there's the schedule of events, and you can see this is just a Google Calendar. It might be possible for somebody, like I said, who's a better designer to make it look nicer. This is just the default layout, and it has all the information that I put in with those events. When is it? A map to get there, and then a description of the event. And you could also add a registration link there, or you could have a registration link on the side over here or something. The results page, this is showing. This is actually a Google Doc embedded in there, which was another easy thing to just point and click to get it in there. And so if you can export your results into a spreadsheet and save that to Google Docs, you can make it available to people on the web. And then I also shared the archive results. You don't want to clog up the web page with too many results. So, have that archive folder shared from your Google Drive, and then people can find the results there. And finally, the venues. These are just, I think I lost my pin on Umstead. Not sure why. That looks like the center of the park. But then on Dick's Park, you can see my pin is there. So that kind of, an easy way to show people how to get to your venues. And I guess I did do one last page, which the About Us is where I just put some documents, just text documents for, our club history or our bylaws or things like that. So if you were editing those and keeping most of them in Google Drive, you could very easily link them. And also to use the calendar widgets and to use Google Drive documents. You don't have to have Google Sites. I'm pretty sure you can do this in WordPress, or you could do it in, whatever your other web building tools are. So any questions about that? Okay. So finally, I mean, that's the main tour of, we think, some of the best tools that you can use in Google Workspace if you have an account. And the way to get the account is to send an email to tech-committee@orienteeringusa.org. Make sure the subject is, Google Workspace for our club or something like that, so that we can recognize that in amongst other emails. Tell us what club you represent and who you need to have as the admin logins. Remember, up to 5 of them. If you need that many, hopefully you can manage with 1 or 2. And remember that we want to know the OUSA member email that will get the invitation to accept that account. And then also it would be handy to know for the subdomain, like, are you going to use it? And if so, do you want to just point it at your regular website, or are you going to need it set up to be your main domain or anything like that? And we will also, this is just a slide in a presentation, unless you took a screenshot of it or something, you're going to want to know. So we'll make sure to send this information out again, and then other people too who didn't make it to the forum will also know. Yeah, so that's it. If anybody has any questions or anything like that.
I think most of the questions are going to happen when people start to try to do it.
Right.
So it was a thorough introduction, I think. Thank you, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Hey, one thing I don't know I may have missed with that site that you created. So I guess that was using the subdomain. If someone or how would you get to it? What would be it?
I didn't have that set up yet, so yes, it would be bok.orienteeringusa.org if I had set up the DNS to point at it. But there's, I don't know how much you want to know about this, but Google Domains was our DNS and our registrar, and then they sold their stuff to Squarespace about a month ago. We got switched over. So I didn't figure out yet how to set this up in Squarespace because all the Google documentation says, oh, go to Google Domains and do it this way. So yeah, we're going to figure that out. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that, but we're going to figure that out, how you could point your subdomain at the Google site and, make it the official domain for that.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Mhm. The question is, how do we design a thornless course?
I think it has to do with your picture of your forest.
Yeah.
It looks like it's I guess a German forest from
Right. I don't know where I grabbed that from. It's not my picture. I have not gotten to run through woods like that in a while. So.
Well, gray owl. When you get a gray owl,
Yeah,
there's
true.
Yeah, gray owl is one of our BOK sites where Ruth and I have a house and we have events from our house.
Okay, what did I say there? Oh, okay. Okay, all fathers. Sorry, I get it now. Sorry, I wrote that a while ago and I forgot. That was being funny there, but yeah.
What was it? Oh,
I don't know. Can you read that, or is that too small?
It's a little too small.
It's the description of the event is: come join us for a family-friendly event. All fathers get a course with no hills and no thorns. All others get our standard courses. So.
That's the Father's Day event.
The Father's Day event. I'm getting a note here to say the subdomain does not have to be used with Google Sites necessarily. But I mean, it's a pretty ugly domain otherwise, right? Oh, yeah. So the other thing you could do, if you didn't want to use the orienteeringusa.org, I think you could also use, if you're in control of the DNS and you bought a domain, I think you can use your own domain to point at that Google site too.
This is maybe going outside the scope of your presentation, but some clubs in the country have like a Google search listing that comes up that's the equivalent of what you get for various businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So like you've got hours and contact information, people can leave reviews and so on. That would link to your existence as a club in this sense with Google somehow, or?
That is a good question. So you mean like this with Quantico?
Yes.
There's actually reviews. Do you know what you did, what Quantico did to, I guess, claim that organization
I
as
would
being
have to
themselves?
ask Kathleen Lennon how exactly she set that up.
Okay.
I just told it, at one point Google asked if we were a business, and I said, yeah, we're a business. And then BOK got it.
Okay, so this says own this business. I guess I'm not sure if that's actually linked to a domain or anything like that, or if
So
Google.
click on it and see what it
Yeah.
says. Go for it.
I'm guessing that's
I
from
do.
Google Maps.
Yeah, so I don't. Yeah, you
Is
put
this
me on the spot
BOK?
here, John, and I think you're right. It's not.
Well, I mean, we can follow up on this sometime in the future.
Right.
But
Yeah. But you're right. That's a good point of something to note. Even if you're not using Google Workspace or something, how do you claim like this is my own business, right? So, or this
But
is my own club.
I claim to be okay. I get emails about how many people are, checking on the site each week and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I wonder why there's an own this business link if they should know that you own this business.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I should click on it.
And maybe I should go into, so here's my user. Most of the tabs in this browser right here are my bok.orienteeringusa.org user. And is there a business app or something in here? I don't know. That's analytics, ads, more from Google Space. So it said I did not have a business profile. These are add-ons that you pay money for or something like that, I think. But yeah, if we can figure that out, I think, unless lots of clubs have already claimed it, I think it's a good thing to let the clubs know about. How can they claim their club as a business so they can see what kind of traffic it's getting and things like that when it appears in searches. What else do you get to see, Joseph, by being the owner of that business? It's somehow linked to our Facebook profile for BOK. So Delia's saying it links to Google Business, but I didn't see that in my available apps. Yeah, they probably rebranded it since it was last. Yeah, since Adalia last noticed it. I guess the other thing I should do is put that slide back up of how to contact us. That's the most pertinent information, I think, if anybody wants to screenshot it. And I'll actually copy that and paste it in the chat here too. I guess, any other questions or, I don't know, Joseph, have you said anything in a while? You're on mute right now.
No, I was just
Okay.
waiting. I
Okay.
mean, we don't have to go until 9:30. If does anybody else have any questions or anything else they want to discuss? If not, we can say goodnight and stay in touch with ClubNet for our next event, our next forum. And also, if you have an idea of something that you would like to present on a forum, let us know, and we can work that in.
Joseph, what is the date of the next one?
It's the 9th. It's July 9th. I'm fairly certain. Let me double check that. Yeah, July 9th. Okay, here's how you can remember. We switch between Tuesdays and Thursdays so that people that are busy on Tuesdays don't miss all of them, or vice versa. And so Tuesday comes before Thursday. And so Tuesdays are in the odd months because 1 is the first number and it's odd. And then Thursdays are the second, or come after that, and those are the even months. So it's the second Tuesday or the second Thursday of each month. So that was the only way I could figure to keep track of how they went.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Oh, you're still on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I was hitting spacebar. I'm part of Suncoast Orienteering in Central Florida, actually the west coast of Florida, and also associated with Florida Orienteering. So Suncoast Orienteering has a website. It's called suncoastorienteering.com. Suncoastorienteering.com. You might want to take a look at that. And we have a website that actually is pretty fully integrated with everything you've talked about. We use Google Docs, Google Workspace, Google Docs in particular for scheduling events using the kind of like the spreadsheet version. And I don't know if you can pull it up if you want to do that. If you go to suncoastorienteering.com, can you do that and show it?
Yep.
And I'll point you to
Can
a
you see
couple
my
places.
screen? It should be on my full screen now.
No, I see you.
Oh. Am I still sharing, or did my sharing stop?
Sharing stopped, I guess. And
I
now I see
see it.
just a picture of you.
I see
hair.
Suncoast.
Okay. Can you talk me through where to click to get to the thing in question? if other people are seeing it?
Suncoastorienteering.com. Just go
Okay.
to the website.
Yeah. Are you?
Yeah, I'm seeing the website up.
If you go to the 3 dots down at the bottom of the controls of the Google Meet,
Oh, I'd have to
Can
do
you-
that? Okay.
can you change the layout? Does it give you an option to change the layout to Spotlight?
Yes, I'm there.
Does that bring up my screen?
No, just shows you. I see you
Huh.
live.
Okay. I'm going to stop presenting and then represent that. So,
Okay. I think this complements what you're talking about. Okay, there you go. Okay,
Okay.
you got it.
yeah.
You see the website. All right, that's the home page.
Okay.
Now, at the top, you see the menu bar.
Mhm.
Now, this is the first year of this website. So next year, next season, we call it the running season because it's going to start in October.
Mhm.
Things are going to change a little bit. And we're going to combine websites with Suncoast Orienteering and Florida Orienteering to combine a joint website. But this is the one that I created for Suncoast Orienteering, or SOAR.
Mhm.
And you might know the name Gord Hunter. He's the one that runs Suncoast Orienteering. Now, if you were to go to point at the 2023-24 JROTC schedule, go to that.
Yeah.
And then scroll down. And you'll scroll down to see the schedule, and it'll appear as a
Yeah.
spreadsheet.
Okay.
That's how we show our events. And they are listed as a spreadsheet, a Google sheet within Google Docs. Each individual event is a Google sheet. So we're able to customize every event in particular to whatever the venue has to offer. And every event is somewhat different, obviously because of addresses. And we utilize what 3 words for our locations a lot.
Right.
And this will show the entry sheets for both the JROTC and also the public events. And Florida Orienteering does not pre-register the public events. Whoever shows up can join, but we like to do that for SOAR, so we know how many maps to print. So if you were to click on, for example, the one question I have is the entry sheet is just a regular spreadsheet that shows everybody participating. So click on the, scroll down to toward the end at the
To
bottom.
an upcoming event?
Yeah, all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll see, for example, let's look at the Florida State Championships, April 13th.
Okay.
Look at results overall. Click on that one. That's how we show the results for the Splits browser.
Yeah.
And it shows by, obviously, the color of the course and so on.
Right.
Now, go back. Now, if you go to the results, show the results table. This is going to be different.
Okay.
This is good for, and if you go to the class and you change the class up there where it says CBF, change it to like CBO or something like that, or JROTC, JOM or something like that.
Okay.
You get more participants. You'll be able to determine the results table for each individual event based on competitor.
Okay.
So go back. There you go. Now you see it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So they're able to analyze their runs based on all these results that we show. What I saw in your presentation, you don't show this kind of information detail.
Right.
Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So I don't know if you want to go there with this, something like this, because this is a good analytical tool for competitors who want to advance to a higher level.
Yeah.
Within each class. And we see different JROTC teams in particular, not so much at the civilian side or public side, but we see the JROTC looking at this to analyze what they have to do to be a better competitor. Right? All right, so go back.
So I guess one question is, so you've got this, the events in a spreadsheet. Did you also do the results through a Google document where you're putting in times and splits and it's calculating stuff and building that the graph for you? Is it?
Good question. For this website, no. The website that I grab this information for, or from the results, in particular comes from the Florida Orienteering website, because Blake Matthews, who you may or may not know, he has created a program that creates these different elements that I can grab and do a hyperlink over to that website.
Okay.
So it's transparent. So you click on that link, it goes straight to it. My rule is you don't go more than 3 clicks to get to where you want to go. So on this spreadsheet, you can get all the information you want for the event, for the venue, whether it's information, whether it's the maps, whether it's Google Maps, whether it's a navigation map using Waze, using what 3 words, because obviously in the woods, when you're going to go to a site, we use what 3 words exactly to get to the point where you got to be. And I don't know of too many people that do that, but we're very impressed with what 3 words. And it's also good for an emergency tool too, if somebody gets lost out in the woods. And we have a phone number that you can call to actually implement that. So this is the kind of Google sheet that we create that's updated on a regular basis. So now you can go back up to the menu at the very top. And I don't know if there's anything else to look at, but we also integrate the Instagram and Facebook directly from our website.
Right.
And we utilize a program to do that.
Okay.
So when we post something on Facebook, it'll appear on Instagram instantaneously and all that.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yes.
This is what you have enhanced.
Right.
So do you have any questions about this that could help you?
I guess, like, how much technical expertise do you have designing this and managing it, things like that? Because that's one of the things we were hoping to entice some clubs who just have a Facebook page because they don't necessarily have the people to manage the kind of stuff.
Right.
Maybe not the technical ability or the time to just get something simple. But the interesting thing is if you could explain to somebody how you've created this in a simple way where they could recreate at least some portion of it, I think that's really good advice for helping out other clubs.
Well, there's a lot of good YouTube videos about website creation. I used WordPress. I'm a fan of WordPress.
Yeah. Yep.
And once you get into WordPress, it's not easy to start, but once you get into it and you get used to it, it becomes very easy.
Right.
And then you're able to make adjustments and add things, subtract things, edit things, make new things, and so on to meet your needs. So the analytics part of this, I use Google Analytics to test how many hits we get, where they come from around the world on a daily or weekly or monthly basis. And part of WordPress includes Jetpack, which is a subset of WordPress that will do like what Google Analytics does.
Okay.
But it's like like you showed on the website that you showed, Backwoods Orienteering was at the top of the list. Well, it's called SEO, and it's a optimizer that once you get people to start using the website, it will generate an algorithm that will boost up your ranking so that your website will show up toward the top.
Right.
And eventually it'll get at the top.
Right.
If people use it a lot.
Right.
So that's where over the last year we've seen a lot of improvement with regard to the SOAR website. It just takes practice. And so there's a cost. There's a domain cost, which we bought the domain. We bought the similar domains around suncoastorienteering.com, .org, and so on.
Right.
It used to be a big deal, but .org, because it used to be what do they call it? People were buying websites and you have to, buy them out or something like that. That was
domain
years ago.
squatters or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't really happen anymore, but
right.
So we took advantage of it, and for like $12 a website, we bought all the ones around it. And we do redirects, which you mentioned, which points, if they go to that website, it'll point them right back to suncoastorienteering.com. And that helps.
Yeah.
So all I can say is it was very cheap to create a website via a domain that you create yourself, as long as the domain is available. And then you just use a website creator like WordPress, or, there's Wix, there's some others that are out there that you can utilize. But I became very familiar with WordPress because it was one of the top ones that are out there in the world. And
I think it's the most customizable, probably. It's the one I hear most people talk the best about. Yeah.
Right. So that's what we did. Anyway, FYI.
Yeah. That's definitely good advice for people. If they feel like they have the time to spend on their website and they don't want to just make us something that's simple and want to make it more usable and know more what kind of traffic is going to it. Yeah.
Right.
Having that ability is helpful.
And I'll say one more thing. If you go to the JROTC rankings, see on the menu? Now, if you go to the ongoing team rankings and compare it with the 2024-25. So we have all of the teams, the JROTC teams listed, and they're ranked on a 1-year basis.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what the teams look at to see how they're doing on an ongoing basis. This is very helpful for the JROTC. Now, not everybody is into JROTC. I know there's a lot of public side. Quantico, for example, is probably more civilian than public than JROTC, I assume. I used to be part of Quantico a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see how they rank and what their points are. Now go back and then go to the annual one. Yeah, go to the 24-25.
And
And of course, that one just started with Florida Agricultural Museum event that we just had on May 11th. So now go back one more, and then go back to the 2023-24. Yeah, now you see the full table.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where they ended up, and you can see the champs on the end, and you can see their point values, and you see the individuals and the schools that they participated with and how they rank. To me, this is very important. This is from an individual competitor standpoint that is vital to motivate the individual JROTC cadet to do better next year.
Mm-hmm.
And this is ongoing. This is a real-time thing that they know what they have to do to compete. And you can see and you can feel it at every event that they participate in. And you get to know these individuals. Anyway, I'm probably going way beyond what you're trying to accomplish.
But this is actually a good example of how you've taken a collaborative tool and a public tool like Google Docs and turned it into something that makes the information on your website more accessible.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yeah. I guess the one question is this data all updated manually? So
yes. Yeah, Gord does this
on your part. Yeah.
After every event, Gord Hunter does this on his spreadsheet and then gives it to me, or actually he posts it on the website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
So there's something else I wanted to point out is that dreamhost.com hosts websites for free for 501c3 organizations. So if you got a free website from dreamhost.com, then you could, Matt, is this correct? Then you could have Google could point directly to it.
Yes.
But could that domain not require you to buy a domain name?
Yes. So you could use bok.orienteeringusa.org to point at it and have it resolved like that if you wanted to, or HOC or whichever subdomain your club has.
Yeah. So that's So that's dreamhost.com, and BOK has been using them for a long time. And I was surprised to see that they still have that feature available. It wasn't just grandfathered in. Right. So any 501c3 club could do that, and then use the orienteeringusa.org, and they wouldn't have to pay anything, and they'd have a full WordPress site and all that.
Right. So yeah, this is I'm not personally a charity, so I couldn't sign up for this for the demo. So that's why I use Google Sites. But yeah, if somebody were had the time to go through this process and set all that up, this would be a better option than Google Sites by far.
Well, more complex too, though.
Yeah, more complex, but it gets you at least WordPress and freely hosted WordPress. Like Mike was saying, it's just a better tool. So, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The only problem I've had with sites like this, and I think there was a Google nonprofit something or another a while back I checked out to take advantage of, the nonprofit status of 501(c) that we have. But there was an issue with signing up for it because I was not the registered owner. I'm the webmaster, but I'm not the registered owner of it. And it was complicated. So we couldn't take advantage of any of these discounted things. So we just went ahead with, doing what we do with the regular website.
Well,
So
you don't. It's not when you're dealing with DreamHost. You're not dealing with Google at all. You're dealing with DreamHost. They do require some documentation, obviously, but mostly it's a copy of your the letter that the IRS sends you.
Right.
And that allows the club to have a website. And we've got people managing it who have no, you can set anybody up as a club administrator.
Right. The next step for us with regard to a website is also going to be doing pre-registration. Right now we do registration on site. Florida Orienteering uses a Square so they can do wireless credit card stuff and all that on site, but nothing pre-registered. We're trying to do the pre-registration for SOAR in advance just by signing up on a spreadsheet and then pay on site when you get there. But the next step for us is to use pre-registration to do a credit card or a transfer of funds, whatever means, in advance. So we not only know how many maps to print, but basically we'll be able to collect the money in advance. So there's not any money transfer on site because sometimes the Wi-Fi or the cell service doesn't really work where we are in the woods.
Well, there's two good ways to do that. The free way is to use EventReg. So if you using EventReg for a local event, there's no charge to use it.
I understand.
And it's been improved a little bit in that you don't have to have all the details on the front screen, and then it's a little bit complex to set up. Once you've set it up with the features that you want and the kind of classes that you offer, you can save those as templates, and then when you do a similar event, you can use your template.
Yeah, I understand.
To greatly improve it.
I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of EventReg myself, but
well, actually,
go ahead.
There's another company called Equid, EQUID, and ECUID. Anyway, Equid is it costs if you want to have some of the features that you might need, but even on the free one where you can only have a couple of products, it's tremendously flexible in terms of your ability to put out the information that you want and collect it in a CSV file.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the other thing we do with Florida Orienteering on site, we have a store. So we sell T-shirts and trinkets and stickers and flags and you name it. We it's merchandise, and we actually bring in quite a bit of money doing that. So Suncoast Orienteering, we don't do that because it's a minimally personnel run event. But Florida Orienteering, we have several people that man the event registration area, and we're able to sell merchandise. And for JROTC students, they're there for the tchotchkes and all the, the things that they can buy and wear and hang on their car and whatever. So I don't think EventReg does that.
Yeah, well, EventReg actually can do that, but it's not the most friendly I
Right,
mean, you'd have to scroll through each thing.
right.
But Equid does.
And how do you spell that? That's EQUID or ECUID?
Let me go take a look. ECWID.
ECWID, okay. I'll take a look at that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there's a beginner level. I mean, there's a free level
Hmm.
that seriously limits the number of products that you can have. I think it's like 6 or 12 or something like that. But if you keep your website clean, you wouldn't be able to do any of your sales. But then there's a relatively inexpensive next level that gives you pretty much everything you need, except it doesn't do inventory.
Mm,
So you've got to go one level higher. And I think we're paying about $115 a year for the level that allows inventory.
okay. Well, we have an iPad and a Square system, a POS system on site that creates the inventory and the sales and generates an event report and a monthly report. So it's pretty detailed. I mean, it's really good.
Well, I think you can pay with Square
Yeah.
using Equid.
Yeah. The only issue with Square and like all the other POSs, they're typically, 3% plus transaction fee and there's some other little add-on fees, but
Well, if you use PayPal and you have a 501c3, it's 2.2%.
yeah,
Plus the 30 cents.
right. Okay, good information. Appreciate it.
Hmm. Yeah, that's bad for our whistle sales because there's so much overhead that we lose money on the sale if they don't buy something.
Okay.
Okay, well, it's after 9:30. Thank you, everybody. I enjoyed the show and the after discussion with all the new things that could have been part of the presentation if we knew in advance. Anyway, thank you all very much, and good night. We'll see you in July.
See you guys.
All right. Good night, everyone.